Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Scott Cummings in College Station. Welcome to our session today. We're going to talk about the basics of Texas data. I'll walk through the system. I'll talk a little bit about the planning component, the reporting component, and hit a little bit on retrieving data. We're going to do this at a fairly high level. So we don't get too far down in the weeds. I am recording this, so anybody that needs to hear or watch it can. So can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to stop my video and share my screen. I've already logged into the system. So just a quick note there that logging into the system, if you're in a county, you'll log in using your AgNet credentials. If you're in a department on campus, you'll typically log in with your Net ID credentials, although you can use either one. So is everybody seeing the main screen for Texas Data? Let me drop my chat out. I do want to say if you have questions.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, if you have questions during the session, just drop a note into the chat or unmute yourself and just interrupt me. So this is the main screen for the system. Most of you that have been around, if you've been around for a little bit, you've seen this. Let me just point out a few things. Down in the lower right-hand corner, there's the live chat option. So if you need assistance, you can click on that and you will either get myself, Ashley Ziller, or Aubrey Spikes. One of the three of us will be there to answer questions. So that's in that lower right-hand corner. Up in the main menu, you will see several options here. Left to right, Texas Info, Texas Planning, Texas Reporting, EPG, which is our extension program groups, that's our volunteer section. Issue ID is where all the Texas Community Futures Forum data is, and Web Stats is some reports based on the collection of website data, which is aggregated and collected across the board for everybody. That includes all county offices, unit websites, extension page, all of those, special projects, all of those. So today I'm going to focus on these first three. I'm going to start with the planning and kind of go over what's there and how to enter a plan. I'm also going to talk about some of the other features that are on the planning page. We'll then go and talk about reporting and hit a few highlights on reporting. And then we will end up, and I'll come back to Texas Info, which is where the retrievals are done. So let me go ahead and go over here and click on Texas Planning. Now, you're going to see a lot more on my screen than you're going to see on yours. So you're not going to see 5,383 approved plans on your page. The access that I have cuts across the board, but you'll see pretty much a very similar set of items. So let me just hit a few things here. Notice up top here, two tabs. One says approved plans, one says working plans. The only difference between these two tabs is working plans are those that are either in draft format or they are submitted. Once they are approved, it then moves over to the approved plan section. So if I click on the working plans, you'll notice that in the status, these all show draft. If I come back to the approved plans, they're all listed as approved. So While you're working on plans, they'll be under this tab. Once they're approved by your RPL, DEA, or associate head, they'll move to approved plans. In the main screen area, you'll see on the left-hand side a plan number. This is assigned by the system. You'll see the title of the plan, whatever you put in there. You'll see the type of plan is an individual plan, or this could say team. Let's see if there's any, no, nothing right now shows team. You'll see a start date and an end date. You'll see the plan lead. If it's an individual plan, then that's the person, you know, that put the plan in. If you're listed on a team plan, then this might have whoever was the lead for the plan, whoever entered it would be listed there. You'll see the plan level. There's 3 of them. It's either in-depth, outreach, or organizational support. And we'll talk about those here in just a second. You'll see the status. In this case, it's approved. And then you'll have some actions that you can do. Those might be to view, those might be to upload a summary or close a plan. Notice here, unsubmit. There are some of the things that I would have access to that you necessarily won't. On the working plans, it's typically a view, edit, or delete. So in other words, let's say you started a plan and somebody else started one too, and it's actually going to be a team plan. You can come back in and delete what you did, or until it's submitted, you can come back in and edit that plan. So this just gives you a little bit of a distinction there. Notice here too, you know, if you've got more than 10 plans, which this is showing, you can adjust that from 10 to 25, 50, 100, or all. And you can actually then search plans too. So let's say you are on a team plan and you wanted to search for a coworker, you can do that and be able to search those plans. If you change the show number, it's going to change this at the bottom, and it's also going to show more on the screen. So those are just a few of the options you can do. I'll come back here in a minute and talk about the various tabs underneath the plan section, but let's talk about adding a new plan. So if you're going to add a new plan, you simply click on the Add a New Plan button. And just to make sure that's switched and everybody can see the adding of a new plan. Sometimes when we're sharing screens, it doesn't always work right. So just let me know if you can see the Add a New Plan boxes. Good. Okay. Looks like it's good. So let me just walk through quickly what's in this area. And we may come back and do some specific, because we're getting ready to start variable planning with 4-H and youth plans here in a couple weeks. May come back and do a more detailed planning session for that. So the planning section is broken into 5 sections: the overview, the educational approach, the evaluation strategy, volunteers and collaborators, and then the approval and submission. So as you're starting a new plan, and I'll just go through, remember there's help buttons throughout of what the various things mean. So you can collect on those and look at what those are there. So let's just walk through. We're going to just call this one test plan. And I'm going to have a start date of, I'm going to backdate this one a little bit, April 1st. And I'm going to put an end date of, let's say, December 31st of 2020. Now, there's a misconception out there. There's a myth that plans have to be 1 year long. and you can only do them between January and December. That is not true. Plans can start and end on any date. We recommend that you, if you're going to do a multi-year plan, that you work with your DEA, RPL, associate head, county director, depending on your situation. But you can do 6-month plans, you can do a 3-month plan, you could do a 1-year plan, you could do an 18-month plan, a 20-month plan. But that's up to you and the individuals in your regional team or your unit team. So the next question just simply says, is this plan addressing a 4-H or youth topic? If it's related to youth, you would click yes. If it's not, you'll click no. I'm going to say no on this one. And then the last question in this section, is this addressing a county identified issue? If you say no, click there. If you say yes, what's going to happen is those issues that were in your TCFF process will come up, and you can actually say this is, came up as a life skills, or it came up as obesity and diabetes prevention, or quality of activities for youth. So basically what that's doing is connecting your plan to your county identified issues. Now, again, mine's showing everything because I've got full access. You will only see those issues that were identified in your county. So you can answer yes or no to that. If you're not sure, click on yes and see what issues pop up for your county. And if it is tied to one of those issues, then I encourage you to select that. Okay, so then the next area, irregardless of whether you say yes or no, is your program area category or your primary program area. And you have the opportunity to pick a primary and a secondary. So let's say in this case, I'm an ag and natural resource agent. I can click on the plus sign and pick the primary area. Now this is a high level. Your RPL or whoever approves your plan will actually take that to a deeper level. So we're just going to say for the case here that this was an ag literacy program. So I'm going to click primary ag literacy. And if you notice, when I did that, and I'll click off of this so you can just see what happens here. Let me find one that, so watch below here. If I click primary as pest control, I get nothing. If I click ag literacy, it shows templates. So we do have the ability for you to select a template that would help you build your plan. So these templates are built and designated by either specialist or regional program leaders or district administrators, associate heads. Not all categories have templates, and there's not a complete list of templates under any one specific category. You do not have to use a template, so I could continue on skipping this section and just filling out things. But if I wanted to use a template, I could click on that and see what's available. So under ag literacy, there is a back to the basics youth template. There's a youth A&R template, and there's a science of ag template. So those are the only three under ag literacy that we have right now. We're actually working on the new templates for the youth program cycle, and we're also working on the new templates for the adult program cycle that are upcoming. Let me kind of go back and show you a few more. Under horticulture, there's, in this case, a Southeast and a West region general hort plan. Under livestock, there is several that you could choose from. Under water, there's a couple that could be chosen from. We do have a document that displays all the templates that will be updated once we go through this process. Under human science, there's templates available for BLT, FNEP. There are some CEP templates if you're a CEP agent that you can choose from. And let me walk through and kind of show you what a template looks like. So I'm gonna go back and pick one of these ag awareness programs, and I'm gonna do the back to the basics. So what happens if I pick a template is you'll notice now in this section, the template, what's in the template is on the left, your plan is on the right, and you can either choose, so watch as I look at these arrows, you can either choose to accept pieces of the template, or you can choose not to accept pieces of the template. And once you do, you can actually edit those. So the template is a left-right function. Left side is the template, right side is what you're selecting as you move it over. So you can see the things change. You could also type in there. So these boxes are still typable. You can change what's in the template as you're going through and build your own plan. So that's page one. If I did not select the template, I would have just these normal things that I would fill out. So once you go through page one, we'll go to next. That actually, once you click next, that actually saved it. If you're concerned at any time, you can hit save plan and it will save the plan, and it actually brings up a green box at the bottom that says save successful. So I'm still working in the template, and I'm going to again select that. So now this was our educational strategy. So it's a brief overview of what the educational plan is to look like. And even on the template level, you can select tasks from the template, or you can create new tasks. So if I select tasks from the template, it's going to pop up it's going to give me a pop-up box. And let me make sure, did that pop-up box show to everybody? Somebody give me a yes if they can see the pop-up.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. And then you can simply come through here and say, I want this task force meeting, I want this livestock workshop, I want this livestock judging. And when you're done, click out of it and it added those things. And I can still create new tasks, and I can still come back to the template and pick up things that I didn't pick up before, like the news article and the quiz bowl. So from a template, you've got the ability to still create your own, or you've got the ability to use the template. And notice now on the task, I can edit, I can copy, I can move, I can delete. The only downfall of the templates is it's going to put a date on the task that equaled the start date of the plan. So you would still have to come in and edit the date. Let's say this one's going to be on the 21st. And notice that that changed that to 4/21/2020. So you still have some cleanup to do, but it's doable. Now, let's say that this news article, you're going to do this news article 3 times. So now we got it in 1 and we want it in 2 more times. I can come in and say copy, and I can either copy it monthly, quarterly, or I can do a custom. And if I want to do a custom copy, it's going to ask me how many I want. I want 2. And boom, it gave me, here's my original one. It gave me 2 more news articles. Or if I said copy monthly, it's going to give me 12 of them. So you can do, so you don't have to type in a bunch of recurring events. You can also move a task. So moving a task is from one plan to another. So if I wanted to move this task from this plan to another plan, I can click where I want to move it and excuse me, do that. Or let's say I made too many copies of this task. I can hit delete, yes, and it's gone. So you have a lot of options while you're working through. And again, save early, save often is not a bad idea. Do remember every time you go to the next screen, it will save automatically, but while you're working on a screen, you can save at any point you need to. So now we're going to go to the next screen. This is the evaluation strategy. Let's say I don't want what's in the template, so I'm just going to type my own stuff and hit next. I'm going to talk about my volunteers, and let's say I want that. Typically, there's not many collaborators listed on a template, but clicking on the box, you can find various collaborators. You can do more than one. Collaborators, just so you know, are high level at this stage of the system. So we don't have we have independent school districts. We don't have College Station Independent School District and Bryan Independent and Navasota. That's just way too many. So we don't have specific ones in there, but we have most big things covered. So then the last step will be to go to select your approver. If you're in a department, your approver should be your associate department head. If you're a specialist, if you're an agent, if it's an in-depth or an outreach plan, your approver will be your RPL. If it's an organizational support plan, your approver will be your DEA. So that's how that works. So Karen asked, can you type a collaborator who's not on the list? No, not on this particular field. You can't, but you could always put that in a narrative on the report side. Again, we're trying to keep that list somewhat manageable, so we don't have a lot of duplicates. We do use that list, and the director typically talks about our collaborator list when he testifies with the appropriations committees during a legislative year. So once again, I can save the plan and it's staying in draft. If I select my approver, and let me just find one in here. Somebody's going to get an email, so I'm not going to actually do this because I don't want to send the email. Pick your approver, hit submit plan for approval. And when you do that, then your plan will go to whoever is the approver. So I'm going to return back to the plans. Look at my working plan. Here is, oh, no, that one's not it. Let me search mine so you can see. So what you're seeing here right now, these are all the templates that we're going through to fix for the new year. But down here, here's this test plan that we just did. So I can go back in and edit it at any one point. And when you go back in and edit it, it's in one long scrolling function. So I'm going to return to plans. Let me actually look at something real quick. So I'm going to back out of this now. Okay, any questions about just seeing the plans page or entering a plan? I would suggest when to know what to put in the boxes and stuff, that's definitely something you want to talk to your regional teams or your unit leadership about, to what they're expecting. And the other thing I should have said when we started off is TexasData is not a planning system. It's, trying to put this, TexasData is a documentation system. Good planning is not done in the system. Good planning is done at your desk with a team of people, writing things down, and you'll document what you do in the system. And really reporting is the same way. Most people have a way that they're documenting, and then they're going in the system to add it. But just, we don't want the system to drive what you do. We want you to do things and put it in the system. Let me show you what these other three tabs are. My tasks, basically that will just show all the various tasks that you have in the system by plan. So if this was my plan here, the 2019 Carson County General FCH plan, it would have all my tasks listed. So this is just a way to get to the task from a different viewpoint. You can also clearly get to the task when you, when you view a plan or you edit a plan, you can see the tasks that are there also. So that's what my tasks are. On the utilities page, you have the ability to see all the state plans. So if you want to see a plan that somebody else did, you can do that. And you can see the plans that you've closed. So closed plans. Now, if you need a plan reopened, you can contact us and we'll reopen that plan for you. But these are the functions that are there. The All Plans button shows you everything that was in your county. So if you're looking at, excuse me, your county, you can do that there. So that's the planning side. Any questions about that? Okay, let's go to the side that's probably a little bit more intensive. Let's go to the reporting side. So once a plan is entered and approved, you have the ability then to report to it. A plan that is not approved cannot be reported to. So if you submit plans and they're not showing up on the report side, you need to get with whoever your approver was and make sure that they get that approved. So here's the reporting side. And again, I see all the reports, so I got to let this thing load up. And I'm going to go past this stuff because it's, let's find something. Let's go to a different page because there's a lot of extraneous things in the system right now we need to get cleaned up. Okay, so we'll just treat this as it is. So typically what shows up here, what should be on your screen, is the 3 months of the current quarter we're in. Now, again, my system, things look a little different for me. These are expandable or shrinkable depending on using the plus or the minus sign. So I'm actually gonna go back here to October 2019 just because there's really nothing I can mess up here. And I apologize to Grace if she's on or not, that we're seeing some of the things here. At the top, you'll see these 3 tabs: unreported, unsubmitted, and submitted. So unreported tasks are tasks what we might call in draft form. Nothing's been done on them. Unsubmitted reports is once you start a report, it moves from unreported to unsubmitted. And once you submit a report, it moves into the submitted area. You also will see a button here that says report to an unplanned task. and I'll kind of walk through those. So when you go to report to a planned activity that you had that you created a task for and had it approved, you basically have two things you can do. Quick session is a abbreviated report, and report to a task is the full report. Eventually, you've got to do both. You've got to do the report to the task, but if you just want to get something started, you can hit on quick session. So if I click on quick session, it actually takes me only to the entry of session data. So let me go back to that. No. So again, quick session will only let you report session data. Report to task starts it from the very beginning. So let's just say here that today I just did this get the facts session 2, and I want to just simply enter my numbers and I don't want to finish anything. I can go to quick session and do that. Let's say I'm at the end of the month or I want to report everything, then I go to report to task. So you kind of saw that screen for the quick session. Let's go to report to task. So the report to task starts off, excuse me, at the very beginning, asking the question, did this task occur as scheduled? If you say no, you've got the ability to move the task to a different month. So if you say yes to that, you can move this to any month in the future. If you go back and you said no, and you don't want to move it, then you can say, well, the task was canceled due to COVID-19, the presenter getting sick, no registration, whatever you want to do. You certify it, save it, and that report's done. So if the task didn't occur, you got the ability to move it or cancel it. If the task did occur, you say yes, and you'll start the report. So on a main report, you've got these 4 options: a group, one-to-one, a newsletter, mass media, or social media. The most common is this first here. So group one-to-one would be for any educational session that you do face-to-face or technology assisted, or any one-to-one meetings you might have. Let's say you go out and do a producer meeting. This is what you're going to do. If you're simply reporting the distribution of an educational newsletter, you go here. If you have a radio or TV or newspaper article, you would select this one. Or if you're doing some form of educational social media, you can click here. So, and again, each of these has things you can report to there. So we're gonna act like, let me go back to the reports. We're going to treat this as a yes, and we're going to do a group one-to-one. So when I click that, I can start. Now it pulls over, ignore these weird things. The databases do not like certain things put in it, and we try to go through and clean these up. Sometimes we miss one, but let's just say this was called Get the Facts session, and I'm going to just delete that there. You can change the date if you need to. Let's say it happened on 3/2, not 3/1. So I've got the report title came in from the task, and the date came in from the task. Also notice up here that it says full form mode. Full form mode basically gives you all of this in one scrollable screen, or you can continue through these sections one by one as you go next. So Diane asked, if you're connecting through email, which group setting is that? Diane, if I understand right, are you talking about if you're sending out bulk emails to a group? Is that what you're asking? If it's straight up email communication, that will go in the monthly summary, and I'll come to that here in a few minutes. I'll make sure I address that. So again, anytime you hit next, it will save the report, or you've got the ability, if you're working on a page, to save it. So I'm going to go next. The next is, what is the session data? So sessions would be, I had a meeting at the community center, or now I'm doing a meeting on Zoom. So to start this, you say enter session data, and you can go through the questions that are asked of entering session data. So what was the zip code? 77845. So this would be the zip code of where the session was held. Where was it held? Well, I'm going to say the community center. Who was the audience? Homeowners. Was the session delivered via technology? Yes or no? Today, we need to be selecting yes. Was it a result demonstration? No. So I'm going to click next. How many sessions are you entering? Now, the easiest thing to do here is to do one-to-one, one session at a time. Although you can, let's say I did 2 of these, I could put 2. So right now I'm going to put 1. What was the duration of session in hours? I'm going to say it was a 1-hour session, and I had 100 people. So notice when I did this that it calculated some stuff. I got 100 people, 1 hour, which means I had contact hours per contact, 1. Total contact hours is 100. So 100 people times 1 hour is 100 contact hours that we delivered. If I'm doing a face-to-face and I can fill out these categories, I do so. Just know that these need to add up to 100. These need to add up to 100. And these need to add up to 100. And that's because I have 100 people. So if you're doing something online and you don't know what their ethnicity is, put 100 and notice that turn from red back to black. I can do the same thing here, but let's say I know, well, let's say I was doing it for 4-H and they were all youth. I can go up here and put 100 here, and I don't know what they are, male or female. So you fill this in according, making sure that your totals in each of the boxes or set of boxes equals to 100. Let me go back and answer a question. Do we put our county office zip code if it's done over a distance? You can either do that, or what we're doing now is entering self-populating 99999 for technology-based in zip code, because obviously the zip code doesn't do any good for that. So I'm going to go next. And there's a few more questions that I need to answer. So was this a group? Was this a one-to-one or group event? I'm going to say it was a group. Who led? Was it led by you as the faculty member? Was it led by a volunteer? So this is also where you would report a volunteer doing a session or a combination. I'm going to say it was faculty. If there were other people that worked with you, you can tag them here. So I'm going to say, because I see him on here, I'm going to say, Ruben Saldana helped me. There you go, Ruben. You've been tagged. I can type a narrative here. So this is where I could add a collaborator. Then a couple simple questions. Was it path to the plate? Yes or no? I'm going to say no. Was it BLT? No. If it's not BLT, actually the session I'm doing was a BLT report, so I have to do it. If the report is a BLT report tagged as a BLT plan, you're going to get this information to add. If you say no and it's not a BLT report, you're not going to have to do that. So let me just type a few things here. And I'm going to hit next again. And then this last piece basically just says, did you lead it all? Were other personnel involved, or is it not an Apple? I'm going to say I led it all. And when you're done, you submit the session. Now, it does ask you if you like to upload files for the session. So if you have an agenda, if you have a roster, or if it's like a leadership advisory board meeting, if you have minutes, you can actually upload those into the system. So if I say yes, here's your opportunities to upload an agenda or upload a roster. So now here's my session I entered, get the facts. Here's the numbers that I entered. If I have more than one session, I'm going to be able to enter another session for this report. So if I don't have anything else, I can go to next. Where volunteers or collaborators, this is another spot that you can list things about volunteers and collaborators. And I'm going to say, if you say no, you can just move on. Was there any marketing? I'm going to just go through, yes allows you to enter, no allows you to go on. Did you distribute educational resources? If I say yes, I can enter what those were. They were bulletins, technical reports, newsletters. I can type what I want there, and I can say I distribute 100 of them and submit, and boom, there it is. Did you receive donations? I can say, yes, I got a grant or a contract from, I'm just going to say it came from me, and it was for $2,500. And now I've got that listed. You can talk about the evaluation, or I can come over here and click report notes. And then when you're finally done, certify and submit. And I'm going to not submit because I don't want to mess up that report. Mention here this full form mode. If you click on that, it basically gives you the entire report in a scrollable way. Once you do that on a report, you actually can't go back to the other option. So I'm going to go back to my reports. So because we started that report, now in unsubmitted reports, that report would go there. Once I submitted it, it would actually show up under submitted reports. So unreported is not done. So this did have get the facts session 1 and 2. We just did 1. So 2 is still there. So under unsubmitted, let's see. I'd have to, well, it's actually a past date report. So that's actually in a locked So I can't even go back to look at that now. So that's basic reporting. Any questions? Let me answer a couple. So what is an example of multiple sessions that would be entered separately? So there are really two kinds of people we talk about from a reporting standpoint. We talk about lumpers and splitters. So lumpers are people who put a lot of stuff together in one report and then enter it. So let's say on this report, so let me go back to a report. So I'm going to say yes, group, next. So if I was a lumper, I could say, how many sessions are you reporting? I could say 2. Okay. So they need to be similar. So let's say I did 2 BLT sessions and one session had 100 people and the second session had 50. Then my total contacts now would be 150. If both sessions were an hour, then I would still only put 1 because now remember I've got 2 here. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. There'd be 2 listed here because two sessions, 2 hours, 150 people. So now I've got 150 people. It averages out the contacts per session, but the contact hours is still 150. So, or you're still dealing with 150 total hours. I think that's right. I got to always think about this because yeah, that's correct. So now this needs to equal 150. And you notice here, since we didn't put, it's wanting me to verify my contact numbers. If I would have put it was delivered via technology, then I get the NA. If I don't put it via technology, I don't get the NA. My personal feeling is, here's the problem with lumping and splitting. Yes, lumping stuff is easy because you're only putting it in one time. The problem with lumping is once you've aggregated stuff, you cannot disaggregate it. The system has no way to disaggregate it. If you put it in separately, you can always aggregate it later and you've got it in at its lowest level. So I'm always going to be a proponent for being a splitter versus a lumper, just because how data works. So just know that. And Grace, I'll fix these reports so you can go back if you need to move them later. So I apologize for that. So I'll make sure you're set up and okay. So question came in. Somebody said if I hit submission and after a few minutes I realize I missed an important piece, I'll show you, you can go back and edit a report as long as it's not locked. Would 4-H youth or adult meetings be considered planning group? Yes. You can, what I would say is, and Ruben answered this, if the primary purpose is planning, then say yes, it is a planning group. If there's educational, then you could pick either one. They both get reported to the LBB. They go to the same spot, so you really don't, you're not going to lose either way. Should it, if I do a program series of 6, can I enter all 6 at once, or should I enter them separately? That's what we've kind of been talking about. Again, you can do more with the data by doing it separately, but we certainly understand what it means to do things together. How is training like this course categorized? Planning? Actually, for agents that are doing training themselves, there's a category called plan support, and you can report to a plan support. Doesn't go anywhere, it just stays in your records. So Brenda asked, can we sort lumped sessions under the same task, like session 1, 2, and 3? No, that's the problem. Once you lump something, it's in there as 3 combined sessions. That's why I encourage you to not lump. It gets messy. And again, we've always provided this option because of some people in the field, but not something we really want to do. So let me actually move out of this section and show you one other thing. Notice here there's a button that says report to unplanned tasks. So if you've got a plan and something came up and it's not in the plan, you can still report to it. So simply clicking report to an unplanned task lets you then pick the plan you want to report to. So I'm just going to say it was this one. Enter a title. Task type, planning group, educational method, interpretation. Let's say it was an educational method. Allows you to pick the date, and it will allow you to do a task lead. And that could be me, or I could pick somebody else. So what it just did is it just pseudo created a task. And now I go back through entering the task just as I would one that was already entered. So that's a report to an unplanned task. Yes, it happened. Yes, it was a group. Go through and do whatever I need to enter, by clicking on whatever section I'm going to enter. So that's a report to an unplanned task. So don't feel like you have to go back to the plan, add the task. When you do this feature here, and you fill out these kind of first level task pieces of data, it will actually throw it back, and it will put the task you just created here in your plan. So it goes backwards. So David asked, what are some examples for plan support? Spent 3 weeks working on developing a curricula. You really don't have any numbers to report, but it was a critical activity that you want to make sure is in the system. Attended these professional development activities. Things that are critical to the plan, but they're not number-based to report for legislative budget board or other accountability things. So really anything that doesn't have numbers to it or you don't want to have counted can go into plan support. Let me run through again these things. I'm going to start with utilities. If you delete a report, it will show up. This is where I lock the quarters. So when we go through locking of quarters, I'll see here. Remember on that plan, I tagged Ruben. So if you get tagged to a report, you can actually come over here to tag reports. And in this case, Jackie Behrens was the session lead and she tagged Haley White. Nick Gonzalez in these reports have tagged Courtney. Tanya Davis has tagged Carly. So when you get tagged and you want to come see, you can come over here and you can view what the original report was. Let that load back up. And you can also, if you want to report what part of that, if you want to put your own participation in, you can do that there. Again, this is for your benefit, or if your supervisors want you to report the participation, you can do that. Once you report participation, it actually creates a participation report. And let's say I wasn't a really nice guy, or I'm very forgetful and I forgot to tag Ruben. Ruben helped me do this Commissioner's Court National Volunteer Month stuff. And I forgot to tag him, and Ruben goes and looks and went, man, that Scott didn't tag me on that. You can come back and tag yourself to a report. So these things are here just, again, to assist you. Tagging a report is a kind of a team approach, and we built it kind of from the tagging on Facebook and those types of things. So another question, time to myth bust. I love myth busting. I have heard that you should always reschedule and never delete tasks. Is that true? I never have heard that. If you duplicate a task, delete it. If you made a mistake, delete it. If a task gets canceled, then do that, go in and report and say, no, it didn't occur. No, I don't want to reschedule. It got canceled. The reason I say that is that task stays in that plan. And if you go back and you need to review a plan from the past, either one you did or a previous agent did, that stuff's there and you know it. If you need to reschedule it, that's great too. So when in doubt, talk to whoever approved the plan and say, what should I do with this? Should I delete it? Should I move it? I will tell you, if you duplicate a report, we do want to delete it because we don't want it out there. And you can contact us and we can do that for you. But if it hasn't been reported to or locked or submitted, I would say definitely delete it if it needs to be done. I think where this comes from is just, I got a plan, I got it approved, and then I go through and delete everything to make it look, somebody trying to scam the system. I don't think we got people that do that. Maybe one or two, but I don't think our people are the types to really do that. So that's what you'll find here. Again, under my report, submitted, again, unreported is not started, unsubmitted is started but not finished, and submitted is completed. So once you submit a report, you can edit it, and you can come back later and update the evaluation section if that needs to be done. If it needs to be deleted, then that needs to come to us to do. You can delete others, but that, always just contact us and we'll help you with that. Okay, any other questions? What if you submit, realize you did something wrong? Yeah, that's where you come back and edit. So submitted reports can be edited as long as they're not locked. Okay, we're right at an hour. Let me just briefly show you So Karen asked, can you find a deleted plan if you accidentally did it? If you accidentally delete something, just contact us and we should be able to bring it back up for you, but do it as quickly as you can. So we back things up and have lots of different backups, and typically we can find things that that might get accidentally deleted. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is some of the retrievals. Oh, so I'm sorry, Emily. It did get, I saw it come across. So my question is, in the donation parts of the report, is there a way to put donations that were not money, like supplies for a project? Yeah, just enter it, but don't put a value. Or if you want to put a value and then in the box put in kind, because even supplies are a value. So don't hesitate to put that value in there, because somebody gives you $1,000 worth of, well, let me give you an example. I coordinate a fund run here on campus for a scholarship. If we're given $1,000 worth of water and snacks, that's $1,000 I didn't have to spend on that effort. And I want to identify that $1,000, who it came from, and that it was an in-kind donation. And man, that's critical. So I wouldn't hesitate to put the dollar amount to it. Okay, now you're not going to see all this on yours. You won't see the LBB report. You won't see compliance. The two typical types of retrievals that you can do will be the Texas reporting data or the individual performance report. So let me just click on Texas reporting data and show you what comes up. So I'm going to click on Texas reporting data, and I can do a lot of different things here. So I'm going to pick 2020 March 1. So I've got March 1, 20 to March 31, 20. And if I just now search this, I'm going to get the entire state. But I can bring this down. So I could select campus. So I'm going to do the campus program. I can do 4-H and youth, and I can look for a particular person in 4-H and youth to run reports on. Or I can come back and say I want the North region and the South Plains district. And I can even say I want the Bailey County office and find a person. So you can find yourself in here. So let's just do a state report just to show you the types of data. I can also filter by AgriLife CEP, Healthy South Texas Not, in-depth outreach org support, 4-H and youth. I can look at different things. I can come down here and do, I only want ag and natural resources. So these filters just give you a lot of different things. But I'm going to do a state report. So it's going to say here, I'm going to be looking through 6,778 reports that were submitted between March 1st, 2020 and March 31st, 2020, and search. So go back up to the top, it's working, it's produced the details. So here's a standard report out of the system. 727,000 total contacts, 230,924 came from educational events, 496,000 other contacts, so that could be newsletters, other things. Of the 230,000 contacts, there were 320,000 contact hours, so that's about 1.2, 1.3 contact hours per contact. Here's the breakdown between in-depth and outreach, planning, educational method, interpretation, face-to-face and technology assisted. Now notice this is real, guys. This is as because we have shifted now to technology, this number is much higher than the face-to-face. And that shows that we're reporting right. Then it shows my breakdown by these things and what region they were from. I can come over here. These are just some graphs of this data. I can come over here and switch to hours. I can come over here and switch to age or gender, male, female, undetermined. This number is higher now because of the technology assisted. And this is a breakdown of data by region. And then at the bottom, it gives you some other information. There were 61,656 social media posts with 369,000 followers. There were 4,300 volunteers involved with 20,000 hours contributed. Now, if I ran this as an individual, these numbers would all change, but you would see the exact same data. If you go to the details, these are all the reports that make up this data. So if I want to go in and dig through the detail, I can find all kinds of stuff by going through here. Again, this will be much smaller when you're doing it on an individual. So that's the Texas reporting data. The individual performance report is focused strictly on an individual. I'm going to type an individual in. Let's see. Ruben, give me a name of somebody that we can search on. Somebody good.
How about Georgina Macias? Try Georgina.
So it's M-A-C?
C-I-A-S.
There she is right there. So Georgina Macias, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to do, let's do January 1 to today, 4/28/20. And when I search on her, so what this, again, what it shows here, 19 lead reports, 24 tagged reports submitted in this time period. So she clearly has been reporting. So when I search on her, it's putting all the reports together. So here's the first summary. So here's her lead data. So these are contacts by lead data. These are contacts by tag data. So 91% of her report contacts were from the tag, 9% were lead. Here's the numbers. I can look at hours the same way, and it's pretty similar. Here's the lead reports that she submitted. Here's the tag reports that she was in. And I can go back at this point, and at the very bottom, I can see the report details. So if you want to look yourself up, this is what it is. So the presentation data, no presentation, remember early on, remember in the reports when we went to tag reports and presentation, this is where it shows the presentation data if you enter that. But really the critical thing here is, if you're looking at this, is the lead versus tagged. And we're going to be playing with how we represent this. This was a very hard thing to represent, but it just gives you some indication of what's available. So the question was asked, is April the end of a quarter? No. May is the end of the next quarter. So remember, the quarters are September, October, November. We lock in December. December, January, February, we just locked in March. March, April, May, we'll lock in June. And June, July, and August, we'll lock in September. So I'm going to stop there because we're an hour and 10 minutes in. I'm going to open it up for any questions, and hope that this was at least somewhat of a valuable or helpful look at the system. So anybody that wants to unmute and ask a question, anybody wants to ask via chat, please do so. If you want to go ahead and exit out, you can. An hour and 10 minutes is pretty long time on Zoom. So, so if I miss reporting in March, what do you do? Actually, March is still open. You can go back. As long as it's not locked, you can go back and report. Once we get to that quarter and we lock, then you can't. But Ruben made a strong comment recommending reporting monthly. Memory fades quickly. It very much does. It fades very, very quickly. No, not just at your age, Ruben. It definitely doesn't mine too. I may be older than you. I have no idea. But yes, it does.
Is there a way that you can tell if it's locked? Like,
yeah, you can't. Well, one, you'll know the dates we lock because we warn you. But anything that's in a previous quarter is locked. So that December, January, February, anything that's in those months is locked, and you won't see them when they're locked. So a task for February, if it's unreported to and we lock, that task disappears from your screen. And the plan support option is available as you're creating task in a plan. That was a question that just came across. Okay. Natalie, let me look back into that and double check because it may be something on the programming side. So I will check on that and get back with you by tomorrow.
Okay, that sounds good. I had a thought that maybe it needs to be that I've got to get in and create a new plan instead of trying to use the plans that were there. Because we changed those dates.
Let me dig a little bit more into that.
Okay.
It's gotten a little weird for me, so.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Hey, Natalie, will you send me an email to remind me of that?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. My memory slides.
We've got a lot going on.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, thank you. And always remember to come grab us on chat.
Thank you, Scott. Very helpful.